Welcome back to a brand new Creative Encounter podcast episode. I'm your host, Juiette Z, Payne, and you are back for episode 75 of this podcast. Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. 75 episodes. If you are brand new here, I would love for you to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any episodes. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that good stuff. We are on every platform so you can learn about creativity and God all in the mix of it. Hallelujah. But without further ado, this is a good sister of mine. I think we met, was it earlier this year?
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Right? Holy smokes.
Oh, what? It was
winter.
winter.
That event, yeah, on Saturday. It was
right?
still winter, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, y'all. But this is my illustrator sister, my singing sister, just all around, just multi-gifted and talented sister, Nathalia Roca. Nathalia, how you doing, sis?
Hi, good. Oh my goodness. Nice to meet you all who are watching.
Yes,
I'm Natalia.
Yes. I love it. This is awesome.
But yes, I'm doing well. It's kind of chilly, surprisingly. Chicago,
it's like, y'all already know Chicago is goofy. Like,
you already know.
Next week, it finally looks like we're about to stay in the 60s and 70s.
I hope so, because I remember like last week it felt like summer. This week it's winter all
it's
over
winter
again.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So let's go back to when we met. So we met at this Chi Alpha event.
Yes.
So you're part of Chicago Chi Alpha too,
I am.
right?
I'm part of it. Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Natalia goes to Columbia.
Yes.
Columbia College in Chicago. And you're part of Chi Alpha, so I came to speak at the event. Pastor Todd hit me up to talk about entrepreneurship. And, I'm like, that's my jam. I love talking about entrepreneurship.
Right.
I can just talk all day about business and entrepreneurship.
He's like, sign me up.
Yes, I mean, he didn't even finish. He's like, Joy, can you? Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So I came to that event, and then you came to me afterwards because did you recognize me from something with Gabe or something?
Yeah, so basically I remember, so Pastor Gabe, he is a pastor at the church that I currently congregate at, so cool. City Church Chicago. And I remember he was promoting an episode that he did with you in this podcast, creative podcast. And I checked it out and I listened to it and I was like, oh my goodness, because everything that Pastor Gabe puts out, I'm like, of course, I gotta, like, come on.
So it's crazy hearing you listen. It's so crazy hearing you call him Pastor Gabe. Because we used to kick it when we were like 12 years old.
I heard that in the podcast too. I was like, wait, they go way back.
Back in the day. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then you just came up and we connected. And then Gabe told me that you're into the arts and illustration.
Yes.
Yeah, illustration. And I was like, and then you sing and all that. So I was like, I gotta get her on here to share the story,
Let's
so
go.
cool. So tell me how school has been. What made you get into just the arts in general? Like, do you come from a musical and artistic family, or when did you see it start developing? Okay,
so oh my goodness, yes to that second part. I do come from a musical and artistic family. So basically, it's mostly due to my mom's side. She's Venezuelan. I'm also Venezuelan. I was born there, but I came here at a young age. When I was like 9, 8.
Yeah. So were you just fully fluent in Spanish only before?
Yes, I was fully fluent in Spanish. I still am. And yes, so that was my first language and I was kind of like brought up there. Then we immigrated here. So my mom's side of the family, who is Venezuelan, they're all creatives, all of them. They come from, it's a total of 7 siblings. And all of them are either like musicians or like fashion designers.
No way.
It's like, it's not like super crazy, but like they all have the interest in their arts and it's and music too. So they all kind of have their side things, but music is something that they all share as well. But so my mom, she's a painter actually.
That's awesome.
And I grew up looking at her paint and like eating her paints and using her paints.
Now were you using her expensive paints?
Probably. I wouldn't know at that age, but probably, most likely.
Hilarious.
But so she was brought up. My dad, he started architecture. He's Cuban. So in Cuba, he started architecture. Wow. So he does, like, he's in that world. It's also creative.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I think I told you that's why I got my degree in.
Oh, seriously? Architecture?
And UIC, architecture.
Yeah, you did. Oh, my goodness.
So insane. Yeah.
Creativity.
I got to meet your daddy.
Yeah, you do? Oh, my goodness.
No
for sure. But he's like, oh, my gosh, he's like the architecture nerd. He knows all about it.
So
I always thought about that too, growing up as a career option, but my heart was just in drawing and painting and all of that, storytelling. So I'm lucky that my parents kind of cultivated that in me at a young age, and not only that, but they encouraged it as a career option. Even though it's like I guess culturally is not the most financial feasible option.
From what people
the perspective,
think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
culturally.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so, but it's whatever. We're here. We're here. You know, God gives us our gifts,
Yes.
and I think it's all for a reason, it's all for a purpose. And if it's His, He's gonna lead us where He wants with that, you know. And if we are walking in His purpose and what He called us to do, then what could go wrong?
Yeah, that's so good.
Everybody's like, I'm gonna go make Christmas, and Artie's like, dude, God gave you this gift. He's the King of Kings. What are you worried about?
Oh, I love it. Hallelujah. See, I love the level of faith that you have, you know? And like, so is your family, has your family always been believers?
Yeah, so I was brought up in an evangelical home, Pentecostal. My dad came to the faith, I think, like, as he was meeting my mom, as they were friends and as they were dating. But yeah, my mom and her side of the family is very, very spiritual, very, they love the Lord. And it's all, I think, kind of all rooted in when my grandma found Jesus at a young age as well. She was just like, you know, if you know anything about Venezuela and the economy, it's like, it was not pretty. And her growing up experience, her testimony is beautiful. Like, I cry of her testimony and my late grandpa, rest in peace. But both of their testimonies are incredible, and how they both found Jesus and then found each other later on.
And these are your father's parents?
My mom's
parents? Okay.
My mom's parents. Yes. And so, yeah, both of they came from, like, basically, like, the... how would I explain this in English? The very, like, low version of Venezuela, like low living, low class. Like you had to go with the buckets and get water from a river type of thing, you know? And people that had, like, 13, 15 siblings, you know, all over the place, very low, but Jesus found them. And both our testimonies are kind of very similar, but they found Jesus earlier on in their life, and then they found each other. Long story short, God bless their generation. So all my family, due to them,
that's so beautiful.
We're on their side, we're all, like, chasing after the Lord and exploring our creativity as well, and encouraging each other. I don't know. It's God. It's only God. It's just God.
And it's crazy because people will try and stifle the fact that so much can happen in the creative field. Like, I can open so many doors, and people will be like, oh, no. Because, you know why? Because art and creativity is not quantitative, meaning it's not something that you can put on paper and measure the metrics of it. Like, this is, like, if you do, like, something else with math or something, okay, there's numbers to prove that this thing can do X, Y, and Z. But with the arts, it's more spiritual. It's more spiritual. You can't, it's not quantifiable. You can't really see, or they can't really gauge, like, all of it. But when you look around the world, everything that we're looking at and doing is arts. This world will be nothing without the arts, you know?
Oh my
goodness, and then in the beginning, what did God create? God created. It's like
creator.
God was creator, you know?
One of his first characteristics, the first thing we know about God.
So if you just read the first page, you're like, okay, who is God? This is what he is. So we're made in his image. Boom. That's what we should be doing.
Period. We're made in his
image. So cool. I love it. So now we're going from high school, I guess, to college. And then the transition to be like, you know, I want to do illustration. What made you kind of go into that?
So as at an early age, I always knew that I wanted to do art. Just because that's kind of what I was brought into, and my parents really encouraged it. But what's it called? But I guess when I was trying to get into high school. I went to high school in South Carolina, by the way. When I moved here, I moved to the States. When I immigrated to the States, I lived in South Carolina for basically most of my life. And so I had the honor of going to an amazing high school. When we first lived here, my middle school was kind of whack because we didn't know the whole system. We were like, this is the United States. Like, every school must be awesome. Right? Like, we come from a third world country. Like, every school must be awesome.
You're like, we need to go back to Venezuela.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't the case. But we learned from our mistakes, thankfully, and God got us out of that. And I was blessed enough to go my last years of middle school to a good public middle school, and then a good public high school. And it was amazing. I'm so blessed. all of my professors. Like, I'm so blessed. I just admire teachers so much. I love also working with kids, so I just admire, like, what they pour into just creating humans, right? And putting them out in society. But anyway, so I studied in South Carolina. And as I was in high school, I started from my very first years taking college art courses. And besides like other college courses that I later got into, like core, I was always doing college art courses every single year. I think that was God too, because I don't know, my teachers just saw something and they were like, okay, let's cultivate this and let's get this girl in like AP classes and stuff like that, advanced placement. And I was like, okay, everything you throw at me, I love doing art. And so I guess, but I was in an area as well where kind of art is not that celebrated as a career as well. So I started to doubt myself later in high school when I was getting to the point where it's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to, what's the next steps? Like, do I go to college? What do I major in? And all these things. So I started to doubt myself and I was like, okay, I like teaching. Maybe I could be a teacher. I like psychology. Maybe I can do therapy and things like that. But I'll never forget this very specific moment where one of my very dear art teachers at the time. Her name was Miss Peugeot, and I think she's like a mentor to me as well. Andrea Peugeot, guys, she's amazing, incredible artist as well. And she kind of pushed me, and that's something that I really admire with teachers too. Teachers that push you because they see a potential in you, and they're not like, that's great. Okay, next. They're like, okay, how can we make this better? Like they push you to your yes, they invest. And so she was kind of that for me. She was one of them because I had several. Miss Monroe, she's also amazing. But Miss Peugeot, and I was telling her, I think I'm gonna do art therapy or therapy, psychology, and things like that. And this was like an after school thing that I was kind of mentioning to her. And she sat me down and she looked at me and she went, Nathalia. And I don't even know, she believes in Jesus, but I don't know if she was a practicing Christian, but I know that God used her in that moment because she looked at me and she went, Nathalia, why are you underestimating the gifts that you have? And I was like, God, like, what are you? And that really hit me in that moment. She's like, why do you think you can't amount to the people who do make it in the arts? Like, why are you putting yourself, well, maybe I can't make it, these people can, but I can't. Like, why are you comparing? Why do you think you can't get to that level? Who told you? And she poured it to me. That was like a really long conversation, but at the end of the day, that was very eye-opening. And from that moment on, I was committed. I was like, you know what? She's so right. And this was so kind of like a very God-led moment. Like, I know God, I was searching for answers, and God kind of used her to speak into me and speak life into me and encourage me. And I was like, of course. Why? And if later on I would like to pursue other career options, that's awesome. But why? I know my heart wasn't in the right place because it was coming from a place of underestimating the gift that God gave me.
And did that resonate with you when she said that? Like, were you already on a subconscious level thinking that was part of the reason? So like God just brought it to the surface when she said that? Wow.
100%. I was like, because these people, they can make it, but why, how, how could I make it? And it's like, wait, you're the daughter of the king.
That's it.
Why can these people like that are not walking with God make it in the arts and are so incredibly talented when we have a relationship with our creator, like the origin of creativity? Why are we estimating that, underestimating that? And so that was super eye-opening. And from then on, I started searching. I was like, okay, let me look at all the art programs that I can. And here I am.
That story is so dynamic. So dynamic.
My goodness.
That's so good. Yes. Now, this teacher, were you in South Carolina still for high school?
Yes.
And then were you in a community college for college, or did you go straight to Columbia?
I went straight to Columbia.
Okay.
So I was also a God thing.
So right there, that's what I was going to say. So you're all the way down there, and you're searching schools, and even to the point where you jumped all the way up here.
Oh my goodness.
So is your family still down there?
So, I do have some family down there. My parents lived... Your parents are still... They're here now. They lived here almost 2 years ago. Oh my God, time flies. Yeah. But they lived there at the time, and my grandparents as well. So we all lived there. And... the way that happened was crazy too. I was obviously looking at colleges that were closer by, or even colleges that were, art related to that might be like in the East Coast. But I was, what's it called? I was like, first of all, I don't know any people there. It's really cool, but I don't know any people there, like Rhode Island and stuff. It sounds so cool, but it's like very random. It's like, so that was a possibility. It was at a time where I was also kind of like being processed by the Lord in my faith as well, because even though I grew up Christian, in a Christian household, I didn't find the Lord I didn't surrender my life to the Lord fully until I was 18. So right now I'm 21. And so until I was 18, I was like, I'm just going to live for Jesus. Like, that's it. But before then, in that moment, I was like 17, 18. That was when also my faith was kind of being processed. And so I was at a time of like very little faith, but I was still kind of clinging on to what the Lord was pushing me to is like, okay, pursue creativity if I have the opportunity to. And I always liked education. So for me, college was a goal, because I love studying. I love education. And I don't care what it is. Like, I want to study. And I think it's a privilege to study and to have such great education, whether it's private or whether it's public. Like, it's such a privilege here that we have in this country. And so I obviously I was looking for that. I was also looking at schools nearby, like the SCAD, School of the Arts, Savannah School of the Arts. Oh, so and that was close by to where I lived as well. Winthrop, just schools in the area. But I remember one time I also called my aunt who lives here. Okay. And so I had some family living here. Like, I have some aunt and uncles, but I hadn't seen them in a while. And I called her that one day that I was feeling down. And she kind of she was praying for me. And she was telling me, I thought about like applying here because, man, I had a family here. And then she started praying for me. She's like, why would you be afraid to move, farther? Even it's like, it's not across the country, but it is kind of a far jump. I would say for someone who's not used to like living on their own. Of course. And I was kind of afraid of that at the time, but her prayer kind of really lifted my faith up. And she's like, you're a light and you can't be under the table. You have to be over the table to illuminate the entire room. And I was like, okay, preach. And then, that whole kind of word kind of motivated me to start applying here to schools. And Columbia was one of the options. Yep. And I also had an uncle. He's also a creative. You should meet him. Yeah. He just got married like in November. I know. And I lived with him for a while too before I moved. When I moved here to Chicago, when I first moved here. And, so he told me about Columbia. He's like, hey, I know there's the SAIC. Yeah. And there's also Columbia. And so, like, look into all of those. And somehow, I was looking into all of those, and Columbia gave me, like, a really good scholarship. And so I was praying about that with my aunt, and we landed here. I never thought I would. Yeah. I never thought I would, but it was, I would totally say it was a God-led decision, and not only my faith flourished here, but my creativity has flourished here so much. But my faith, that's like one of the biggest things that I think God was calling me to, because he's like, okay, you got all these talents and stuff, but how about our relationship? And moving here really, really cultivated it, especially moving when I started congregating at City Church Chicago. That was, oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, the start of it all, I would say. Yeah. I love it.
And even with that, I love how God used the season of you kind of essentially being out on your own so that you can really lean in on him. Yes, 100%. So because you can go out there and then, we see it all through scripture. He calls Abraham away from his family so he can go into his destiny. Exactly. Sometimes you have to kind of move away from the familiar, go into the unfamiliar so that God can stretch you and put you where you need to 100%. Be faith-wise. Because even now, he stretched you to get to this level, but now he's preparing you for what's next.
Amen. I receive it.
So it just always just keeps like, he doesn't stop. He creates, and he doesn't have a point where he goes, I'm done. The universe is ever expanding. So with that, you're always going to have another level that you can keep going to. Amen. And he's right there with us the whole time. It's just so awesome. I love it. Oh so you went into this this field. I'm pretty sure you have a vision of what you want to ultimately do with it. So where do you want to go? Because with illustration, you go in any direction. Yeah. What's your your big like dream goal?
Yeah.
You
Oh
like,
my
trying to do?
goodness. I guess there are many, but always rooted in the field of visual storytelling. So when I first moved here, I was like, I didn't even really know what illustration was. I was doing fine art because I'm a painter at heart. I always say that.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
you and mom both.
Yes.
Have you guys ever painted
Yeah.
together?
Oh well, like not collaboratively,
Uh-huh.
maybe, but we
Just kind of just together.
Yeah, just got it
That's
together,
cool.
like a
That's
studio
special.
time. Oh,
Yeah.
I love my mom. She's my best friend and my dad too.
love
But yes, so yeah, of course. So for that reason, I'm a painter at heart. But fine art here, I guess modern fine art is a little. I started to realize when I started studying here that fine art, modern fine art, is different from. Like what it used to be, especially when my mom was in school.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's like, okay, it's more, it's less technical.
Fast,
it really does with our contemporary time. So I think fine art now is used more for conceptual and I think activism, just many different things.
That makes sense,
But when I started to notice, I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. But then I ran into the illustration program and I was like, oh, okay, this is the balance that I'm looking for, narrative and visual storytelling, because I like things more technical and not as much conceptual, because you know how fine art can be shapes and a canvas, and that's cool. It can be, but it's not what I want to do. And so I was like, okay, illustration, and I kind of started pursuing that program. As well as graphic design, and I was like, okay, this is the perfect in between like fine art and graphic design, because I can know how to technically draw. For example, I love figure drawing people, portraits, on all of that, environments and all those things. So okay, that's what illustration is. Yeah. And so I guess ultimately when I started pursuing that, my focus right now lies in that visual storytelling, figurative drawing, just characters. And ultimately, there's so many career options for that. I've been looking at many, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh my goodness, I stress out. But then I'm like, God's got it. God's got it.
Yeah,
but currently, I would say I'm working towards painting, and if the ultimate goal is to have like a brand of my own. Yeah. With art. And so painting, visual storytelling, that's like my ultimate goal. That can look in many different ways. It could be hired to do a story, a book, or a series of paintings. Like that's kind of in the field that I dabble in my career and also in my academics. So that ultimately is the idea, but that can look very different.
Yeah, and it may just continue to change over time too.
Yes.
Like I told you when I started my my music school, it was all in person. Then I started incorporating the virtual component, and now we're incorporating the in-person component as well. So it's like as time changes, you also just kind of see what your desires are, but also what your clientele, like your avatar of what your clientele, what you want it to look like. Then those people come and ask these questions. Hey, do you offer this? Do you offer that? That may start being the thing where you're like, maybe I could offer this, and start having these different offers for people to have, So over time, it's going to just keep changing, which is good, And then you become your brand becomes the go-to in that specific industry or field, So that's going to be fantastic. Now, it makes me think of, you're talking about visual storytelling. Yeah. It makes me think of audible storytelling too. When I, as a songwriter, singer-songwriter, and things like that, I think about whenever I have a show or write a song, I'm trying to express this story, but express it with the lyrics, but also the music behind it is telling the story too. So the instruments that you choose to play, the chords you choose to play, how they flow together, all of that is telling the story and the interpretation of what you're singing as well. So all goes together. Yeah. And you know this well too as a singer on the worship team.
Yeah, I am on the worship team.
On the worship team, all the songs that we sing, even as we select them, it's going with the theme of what the message may be or different things like that. Yeah. So we know how that flows, So tell me, even in that realm, how you got into the musical side of things too. And then I would love to know, as art is my jam. Yeah. Music is my main jam right now.
Of course.
Too. So I'm like, tell me what you want to pursue as it relates to music too. I would love to hear that as well.
Yeah, of course. So I remember there was a point in my life where I think it was probably in high school that I told my mom, I was like, because I used to sing in church all the time growing up.
Yeah.
That's basically how I was brought up, and also doing like specials on Sundays. I would ask the pastor, I'd be like, Pastora, what is it? Like, can I do a special? And she's like, oh my God, of course. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of how I grew up. But then there was a point in high school where I was like, Mom, my thing is art. I can't pursue both things. Yeah. And she's like, who told you that?
Right, exactly, yeah.
And so there was a point where I was like, I don't want to sing anymore. I'm not meant for that. And I'm the more I mature in my faith, I realize why is there a limit to the things that you can pursue of the God?
And we all went through that season. Like I get through the season where I'm like, what's the one thing I want to
focus? The one thing.
But it's like God is like, hey, I can work through you in all of these things.
Exactly.
Now it's a matter of being smart with how you're balancing and using each one. Mm-hmm. But each one of those can be a blessing. And can just flourish into something huge.
Go
ahead.
Of course, 100%. And I feel like our culture, since they're kind of disconnected from well, first of all, they find their identity in their gifts and not from God. And so they're kind of, they put this emphasis on like, what's the one thing that like makes you you. Yeah. And if you have too many, you're like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And if you have like too little, well, you're no one, and all these things. And so I think if God gave you a gift, it's for a reason, and that He can use it for His purpose and for His glory. So I think you have to also find an in-between. It's like, if obviously there's only so much that we can focus on at once, but also who's setting you a limit? Like society? Who's setting you that limit? Like God give it to you. So I honestly, as a career-wise, I don't know if I'll ever pursue that. Who knows? I'm open to it. But I would say, like, ministry-wise, I am completely interested in the musical realm. As I said, I grew up singing that. I would love to pursue instruments.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were literally. The only thing I know how to play is a ukulele, and I taught myself in my bedroom like 4 years ago.
Let's go. That's it.
But besides that, I would love to expand that, and this, to me, that's more of like a personal thing and a communal thing, because especially Pastor Gabe has helped me cultivate that. I remember earlier on when he came to the church, he discipled me and my cousin, who is also a singer, in how to lead the youth, because we were in charge of the youth worship ministry, even though I'm in the main service right now, but we were in charge of the youth, and right now we're in charge of elementary to middle school, and kind of how to kind of leading, because leading is not you get up there and you sing. It's like, how do you lead people into a moment of worship? And so I just love that, and I've pursued my gift further at my church of singing and of vocals, and I think the Lord can and has used that for the kingdom and for His ministry. I don't know. Maybe there are I'm so open to other projects arising in that realm. Right now, I'm just focused on art as a career. But that's something that I also have a lot of interest in, and that I pursue, weekly, every Sunday.
You're literally blessing His church, his holy community every single week through the musical side as well. And then that, which is impacting the world. And then you're developing this career, which is impacting the world. So He's just using these gifts in two different arenas simultaneously. So so it's all blessed.
Oh my God,
so
God,
cool.
I love it. He's so good.
Great. All right, so the next thing is, what is a new project that you're currently working on this year? I know you got all of your like school assignments and all that stuff you have to do too, but are there any like personal projects that you're working on, or something that you're building with this brand that you'll be kind of having soon? Anything that you're building or preparing to release even this year, possibly? Yeah.
So, almost 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years in August, I started streaming on a Twitch channel. My cousin got me into this.
Yeah.
And
what are you streaming?
So I stream art.
Oh, no
and
way.
And it's so funny the way that it started. It was like she was doing all these streaming, like gaming and entertainment as well, like skits. Yeah. She's very creative. She's very talented. But she got me into it too as well, because I wanted to start creating content, and I was creating videos online and just kind of sharing my art, posting all that, like the the normal thing. And then she got me into streaming, and I was like, okay, this is a whole world that I'm not like so immersed in or well versed in. And then she as along with the other family, her parents and cousins, we kind of started that. And so basically I started streaming art, and I started with the goal of teaching people art. And so, teaching the fundamentals of art and of art and design, because I believe that if, of course, you need a gift, but I believe that people can what's it called? Can cultivate that gift and develop it. You have the gift, but it's your responsibility to nurture it and grow it and grow your skill set. So those who are interested in the arts, I was offering kind of like weekly classes or bi-weekly classes and critiques of the what's it called? The fundamentals of art. So it's like, if you, a lot of people want to jump into art right away, and they're like, okay, let me draw this portrait, but it looks like your ugly Aunt Sally with like a snaggle too. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, let's reel it back in. Like, what do you know about shape? What do you know about light?
But that might be contemporary. You know
right.
Might
be contemporary. Hold on, I got something to say about that.
I know. People always be like, yo, this is like,
stop.
That's contemporary.
No, let me tell you something. Let me listen up. Picasso, he didn't start out drawing like that, okay? He knew his fundamentals, okay?
That's it. There we
he
go.
knew how to draw a portrait, okay? And then he started doing the crazy faces and all that. Like, so yeah, that's something I very much emphasize. I'm like, your favorite artists that are doing like lines and shapes, they know also their fundamentals, okay?
It was completely intentional.
You need to. Exactly. Even though it might not be your cup of tea, sometimes it's not mine, I admit. But so you have to learn your fundamentals. Exactly. That was basically my emphasis in that. And and so I had I would say like an average of 30 subscribers.
That's so dope.
And it was so cool.
And are you doing live art there, or are you more so just teaching by word, or are you actually doing it too?
So I was doing both, and so I was able to stream me drawing the classes. I had like weird PowerPoints that I would put together, and kind of like explain to the viewers and the listeners, okay, you do this, you do that, you do this, and then but I had to vary it by week. So some weeks I did like class, the next week I would do a critique. I do like a prompt and be like, okay, guys, now everybody draw these many circles from what you learned today or whatever, and then I'll critique it live. And so I was kind of offering that for those who are subscribed, but I would switch it up. Sometimes I'd be like, okay, just send me your art and I'll do a critique, like whatever it is that you drew, you know, a character or whatever. And then this kind of grew from that place of teaching people how to do art. And then there'd be moments in the week that I'm just like, okay, this stream is just gonna be just me doing my own art and talking. And then that kind of grew, that kind of like got not sidetracked, but I would say right-tracked a little bit, because I started talking more and more about my faith. And I was like, that wasn't my initial intention, but it kind of grew into that. And
sometimes
then
it just comes out.
Yes, you know, and then I have people in the community that are coming in, that are Christian, that are also talking about their faith, that are talking about their life and their struggles and everything. And I'm like, oh my goodness, God, you're so funny.
So dope.
Like, man has a path, but like, man chooses his path, but like, God always strengthens it, you know? He always... You know,
it's crazy. With that, it kind of connects to initially when you're like, oh, you know, art therapy and stuff. You know, that's still a component of art. So I feel like God, with you pursuing and not being afraid to pursue what he was, you know, calling you to do, and just going for illustrations, going for it, he's still adding in those other components too. Like now you use it as a therapeutic method to tell people about the Lord, to bless them through this art, help them feel better. These visuals help them remember these awesome memories in the past, or to overcome different pain and trauma. So it's all like connected and so forth. That's why I love nowadays that we have all these digital platforms in the first place. You can reach so many more people in just this short amount of time all at the same time is so beautiful, you know?
Yes, it's so beautiful. And every time I think about that too, I'm so glad you brought that up because I also think about that when Jesus said that that he was leaving, he was telling his disciples, but you guys are going to do greater things than that I did. And when you read that, you're like, what are you talking about? You literally walked on water.
You literally cold. You too raw. Like, how?
How? You were born of a virgin. What? No, and it's like it makes no sense. But when you think about it, it's like we also, technology evolves, and we live in an age where in an instant you could reach, in the blink of an eye, you could reach thousands and billions of people.
That's it.
And I think like that's one of the things also Jesus meant when he said you'll do greater things than I, because we have not only the responsibility to go out there and make disciples, but also we have so many resources nowadays at like our feet, and you know, it's like, it's so...
We are literally nowadays without excuse.
Yes.
To share the gospel.
100%.
To start a business.
Yes.
To just impact the world all over. Like, we're without excuse. Like, there's no way. The only thing that's holding us back is our mind.
Yes.
Which we need to overcome. Like, all 100%. Of us have been in that season, like how you were saying, just like, oh, I don't know if I should.
Yeah.
All of us go through that season.
Yeah.
And then the Lord, he's so gracious. And he'll put someone in your path to share with you. Whether it could be just a way motivational on YouTube or something. Or it could be a family member. Someone who believes in you when you can't.
Yeah.
It could be you just opening the word and you seeing things that he spoke to all of the patriarchs in the scriptures. And be like, man, God said he's for us. And that'll be your spark of hope, your encouragement. Yeah. So with that God, he's just so gracious and he makes it happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's just so beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. 100%. He really... like we really are without excuse. Yeah. Like he's equipped us so much, and he, yes, in our dark moments, he's able to kind of like reel us back in and show us, you know, what we're here for. Like, we're all here for a purpose that is more similar than we think. I feel like we're all like, oh no, you have your purpose in this, but like at the end of the day, we're all here to, obviously, the Great Commission, but also worship God. Like, bring his name glory.
Yes.
In anywhere we find ourselves. You don't have to be a creative. You don't have to, you know, it could be your regular, you know, your job. You're bringing him glory. Yeah. You're glorifying him.
Whatever we do.
You're sharing,
whatever we say.
Whatever.
All of it,
It's all worship.
It's all worship.
You know, it's and it's all like a fragrance to him. And I always think about that, and oh my goodness, good God, we have all these resources and all this ability to just spread your word. But also as creatives, because as time also evolves, it's like we have, you know, a career. I think the people who undermine art as a career not only lack faith in that sense, but also they're coming from a place of art used to be a career to that was hard to excel in. Yeah. And I think there are some people who kind of still cling to that mentality and continue to believe that and preach that. But the more resources that we have, the more it's like, why not pursue art as a career? You know, we have so many outlets. Yeah, we're
in a whole different era of industry and all of that. You know, like there was a whole... Back in the day, it goes back to the agricultural age. It was like forever, you know. But no one's gonna be like, I'm pursue a career necessarily in farming and stuff anymore and stuff like, you know. Then we went to like the industrial, then the digital technology, all of this stuff. Like we're in these different eras, but our mindset can still be stuck back here, where we're not seeing stuff grow. I know we see it with our parents and grandparents sometimes. Like they'll literally stay in that old school. Oh, I don't want to get this cell phone. Oh, I don't want to try this new thing. It's like you got to keep up with what's happening, or you're gonna like fall behind. So like we have to do the same thing when we're pursuing things. You know, exactly. Back in my day. You know, so even like stuff like 10 years ago, the way that we may use YouTube or whatever, it may be completely different now. So you got to always just try to keep up with the trends and all of that. Not like following the world systems. But if you want to impact, you got to be right there, tracking with what's happening.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. Like not lose yourself in the process of like, oh, I got to do what everybody else is doing, but also take advantage of the tools that you have available to you, and make that work. You know, you can make it work. And for the glory of God, it doesn't, it's not all, you know, alien to us, you know? So, very grateful for all of that. Oh, my goodness.
So, this is what you're going to do, okay? So, we always wrap up every episode giving just a word to our viewers, those who are watching, who may want to, be encouraged or motivated in their art or creativity.
Yeah.
What's a word of motivation and encouragement that you can give?
Okay. Okay. Motivation, encouragement. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have so many people that were that for me throughout my life. So, I would say, oh my goodness. It's so cheesy, guys, but don't give up.
But it's so powerful.
It's so powerful. Yeah. It's so cheesy. But guys, okay, like one thing that you have to, I guess, that helped me kind of stay confident in my walk and in my journey of creativity is like, know who your creator is. First of all, know who your creator is. Know that your identity is in him. Do not put your identity in your craft because your craft can be taken away from you at any time. Like you lose your voice, you lose your hands. It can be taken away from you. And if you put your identity in that, those things are so temporary. And God is eternal, and he will make a way no matter what. He'll make a way out of your gifts no matter what. And for his glory alone. So just remember to always draw from him, stay close to him. The best ideas that I've ever had, are always when I'm in my alone time with him, when I'm reading his word, when I'm in my quiet time with him in the secret place. Draw near to him. If you listen to me, if you take away anything from this episode, is you need to cultivate your relationship with Jesus, and you need to make him Lord of your life. And everything else will come in addition. That's it. Everything else. Seek for the kingdom. All else will be added. Yes. And so I'd say that from there, you're going to grow so much and believe that the Lord is faithful to keep his promises, no matter how long it may seem, and that he will use you, and you will be successful. And whatever that may look like, success is not just one cookie cutter shape. Exactly. Success can look in a myriad of ways. Success can be like you bringing 12 people to Jesus, you bringing tens of thousands of people, one person. Like success looks very different. It's not a cookie cutter. Build your own mold. Don't fit in the molds that society has created for us to fit in. Just build your own one as you cultivate your relationship with the Lord and have confidence in who your father is. Yeah.
Yes, come on. Yeah. So you didn't tell me, you were a preacher too.
Stop!
You didn't. You just said that you sing and you do illustration. I was like, I love it. Praise God.
Is that Sunday school teacher in me?
There you go. Wow. Man, Nathalia, thank you so much for this. This is awesome.
I was.
Yes, so good. So tell everyone how they can find you.
Yes. Okay. So I have Instagram. At Natrix Arts, Natrix like Matrix with an N, and Arts all together. Link below, link right below. Here. You'll see it. Yeah. But yeah, Natrix Art, our Instagram. There you can find my LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, Linktree to my links. And I do commissions. If you'd like to commission me, it's all the information in my Linktree. And to my streaming platform too. I keep it there kind of anonymous as well. Just because like for safety reasons, I don't tell people like, oh, I live here and there.
Yeah, of course.
But so it's just like, but yeah, you can find like all the links to that in my Linktree and keep up with what I'm doing. And so good. Natrix Arts. Everywhere on social media.
Yes. And the link is in the description below. Yes. So guys, this was awesome. Another episode of Creative Encounter Podcast. Again, if you want to support this ministry, Juiette Z Payne Music and Creative Encounter Podcast, we are pursuing monthly partners who want to support this ministry. So the link is below for that as well. If you feel the Holy Spirit calling you to join this team, we would absolutely love you guys to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 75, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.